Hello, everybody. Welcome to Guiding Keys podcast. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm Master Latrix, and I'm joined by the usual squad of bros who can now introduce themselves in whatever order they see fit.
That's Ben. That's Dallin. That's Latrix. That's Craig.
Wait, am I here?
No, we kicked you out 7 months ago.
All right, that's what I thought. I didn't realize I was here.
Latrix is ephemeral now.
I actually died. I'm a ghost haunting you.
You could be a shambling corpse from Final Fantasy XII. Speaking of Final Fantasy, the topic of today is Final Fantasy in Kingdom Hearts. What's our opinions of it? So on and so forth. Because that seems like to be a weird hot button topic, just as much as should Disney be in Kingdom Hearts?
It should Disney be in Kingdom Hearts is a much bigger discussion that people talk about.
True, very much so.
I don't know. That Final Fantasy debate is rather big.
It is big. Not as big as Disney, I do believe, but this is also a debate that even Nomura has had. Honestly, because Kingdom Hearts 3 did not have any Final Fantasy characters up until Reborn.
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I do think that Kingdom Hearts is a melding of the two franchises. Very much so. Even though it is very much heavily Disney first, which is fine. It's Disney front loaded. But, Final Fantasy is as much of the core of the series. I mean, that's where we got all the magic from. Like, if you want to take away all of the Final Fantasy elements of magic, it literally follows to say, we won't have Donald yelling Zeta Flame. Don't take that away from me, man. But no, I do think that, in my opinion, Final Fantasy is as much a part of Kingdom Hearts as Disney is. Not as big as much, because I do enjoy them showing up in other worlds and also not having a specific Final Fantasy world, but more of they're in the hub worlds like Radiant Garden, Twilight Town, and so on and so forth. I enjoy that. I enjoy their role within that.
All right, so before we continue, I want to kind of reiterate what the actual debate is, just for people who might not understand. And basically, the point that Nomura had made, and that started kind of the whole disagreement, was that Nomura said that the reason why Final Fantasy characters did not appear prominently in Kingdom Hearts 3 is because Kingdom Hearts has enough original characters now that they don't need to use the Final Fantasy characters to fill character roles. And he always believed that Kingdom Hearts was more of its own thing and never really viewed it as a crossover between Disney and Final Fantasy. He kind of viewed the Final Fantasy characters as more of cameos, not as they are part of the series. And a lot of people are like, no, Kingdom Hearts to me always has been Disney cross Final Fantasy, and these Final Fantasy characters need to be here.
Did he as much say as it is that the reason why they're included in Red Mind was because of the public outcry to have them back?
He did say that the reason why he included them was because he didn't know that fans felt as strongly about it as they did. He kind of figured it was kind of whatever, people don't really care. He found out, yes, they do. And then he said something along the lines of, we're going to have to figure out how to strike a balance going forward.
And I'm fine with them having bit roles, in my opinion. I think my favorite inclusion, at least within the worlds, has always been Cypher's gang and Twilight Town. I think that is my favorite because Leon's gang didn't feel, they weren't incorporated into that world, right? That they didn't grow up in Traverse Town naturally because they were sent there.
Yeah, they were just in their own little hole, essentially.
Yeah, they got sent there just like Sora did. But they acted as almost like mentors at Sword Dog and Goofy as far as here's the information. And to be honest, I forget, even though I love Titus, I forget that him, Selphie, and Waka are on Destiny Islands all the time. The bit inclusion on the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, you've got Cypher, it's Fu and...
Vivi.
Fu, Vivi, and there's one more.
Rai,
thank you. Fu, Vivi, and Rai just fully... totally owning those lamers. And of course you had Setsu. I felt like they were incorporated in the world. Like they were just guys hanging out in Twilight Town. and granted that was the digital version, but they went to school, they did their stuff, they were bullies, they went home and ate dinner, they felt incorporated into the world. They made the world feel more lived in.
So my take on the whole Final Fantasy characters, I actually kind of agree with Nomura in the sense that the Final Fantasy characters are really more of a
Placeholder for future characters.
not a placeholder, just more of a cameo.
And the reason why I say that is because if you actually look at the pattern of like what Final Fantasy characters are included in which games, you start to notice that a lot of it actually happens to line up with what's actually going on in the Final Fantasy franchise at the time, especially Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep.
Well, also, mind you, that Nomura only wanted to include his characters, but his team actually wanted him to include Vivi, and he felt very awkward about that.
Well, no, but what I mean is look at Cloud and Sephiroth and Tifa. What came out right around the time Kingdom Hearts 2 was out?
Good old
Advent Children.
Advent Children, okay.
Yeah, and what design is Cloud using in that game?
the Advent Children. There are you.
He's using the Advent Children.
Yeah, and then look at Birth by Sleep. What Final Fantasy character appears in Birth by Sleep?
Zach.
What other Final Fantasy game is also on the same console, the PSP, and came out around the same time and is using the same engine?
Crisis Core. Yeah.
I think a lot of the Final Fantasy characters that appear in the Kingdom Hearts games are really more Easter egg cameos.
Well, and one of the things Nomura said was that he includes them when he has a way to incorporate them into the story. They're not just there just to be a cameo technically, because he includes them in the story. They don't just exist in the world. He puts them in there, and he doesn't want to just put them in there when he doesn't have a reason for them to be there.
No, and I get that.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 1, they served the role of being tutorials, basically. And then in Kingdom Hearts 2, you had the Setzer Gang, which also served as a tutorial. You had Leon's crew and Radiant Garden for that whole fight. That was fantastic. I still go back to that in my mind. That is what I think the Cydia should be. I've never played the Cydia. I'm assuming it's all that. And then, of course, you have Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps shows up in Kingdom Hearts 2. And then, like you said, Birth by Sleep, Hercules, Ventus, and Zack all share that sort of bond as would-be heroes. It all vibes well together. And then, in 3, they really, or rather in Remind specifically, I mean, I hate to use this argument, but you could have replaced Sid with Pence, since we know Pence is very technologically...
Well, it makes sense because of, I think, just continuity-wise, the way they did how the data battles are. I'm brain farting, but they're in Radiant Garden. It uses that the Garden of Assemblage recreated in Data, but still, I think it makes sense for the way they did it that it was the Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah, I think the way they did it in Remind is fine. I think.
Here's the other thing, though, and this is what I'm saying. There's something I wanted to say about Final Fantasy in Kingdom Hearts 3 specifically. Is that a lot of people say, oh, Kingdom Hearts 3 had no Final Fantasy cameos in it. That's actually not true. It actually had a lot of Final Fantasy references in it. It just didn't have characters. But there's a lot.
Specifically with the Gummy Ship, I saw a lot of Final Fantasy references, like the Galleon, Moogle, Cactuar.
The Gummy Ship, Toy Box had a lot. Obviously, the Moogle.
I mean, all of the constellations, or at least a lot of them, are Final Fantasy references. The Toy Box world has a bunch of Final Fantasy references. I mean, you've got a giant Cydia NT, and
you climb up a freaking cactar.
Yeah, you've got the cactar.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts. It may not be, the third rematch between Sora and Sephiroth. We will still be getting, I mean, obviously beyond the spells, of course, but, and especially considering the whole Verum Rex part of Kingdom Hearts 4 is all but Final Fantasy Versus 13. It's, inevitable that we'll just have more Final Fantasy inspiration. Honestly, what I think we may see more of, instead of just straight up
cameos, is just stuff that's more inspired by it rather than direct.
More of how Lee is to Reno and how Yozora is to Noctis,
References. rather than cameos.
Characters who are, very obviously inspired and they take a lot of cues from that character, but this is basically their variants in the Kingdom Hearts universe, Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Mm-hmm. But and again, it goes back to like Nomura saying like he doesn't include them in the story if he doesn't have a reason to include them in the story. Which I mean, I would love if he does in the future, and I'm sure he will do in the future. But it shouldn't be like an expected thing. I feel.
Yeah, just like how the world ends with you characters, right? Like I love that.
I don't want him to feel like he's forced to do it. I don't want him to just okay, well, I have to put these Final Fantasy references in there because the fans want it. And so I don't want it to be forced in just for fan service sake. I'd rather he just follow his own vision and just do what.
My take on that is because in Chain of Memories, Axel was supposed to die, but or rather, I'm sorry. In Kingdom Hearts 2, he was supposed to die very early on. But even his team was like, no, we love this character. And the fans loves Axel. I mean, you can't, no one acts as Axel. I do think when people go to him or when fans go to him and they're like, I really like this character, I'd like to see more. I do think that he might probably feel a good bit of obligation to it, but at the same time, I do think he's able to pivot and make a great story out of that no matter what. I trust his ability to Nomura the shit out of things because I'm here for the ride.
I have absolutely no doubt that decisions have been made due to fan reception. That's a given. That's absolutely happened.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah.
And I think actually a lot of what happened in Kingdom Hearts 3 was probably a result of fan reception. I highly doubt Roxas's return and Shion's return would have been as hyped up in the fucking game itself as they were if fans didn't care.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The return of Lingering Will, absolutely. And this goes even beyond the Final Fantasy and returning characters, but also gameplay mechanics. Really, 3 is the culmination of everything since 2.
Well, and actually, that's a really good thing to bring up, too, is because Kingdom Hearts 4, Nomura said he's bringing back reaction commands because of how well fans responded to it in 2 and how much people told him that they missed them in 3. I remember he even said, he was like, I didn't think people cared that much. I didn't think they were that popular.
Which like that. Yeah, there is a ton of fans iterating what they would like to see. So and with him going okay, fans like reaction commands. All right, fans like Kingdom Hearts, or rather, fans like Final Fantasy characters in there. Okay, we'll see what we can do. But I do think, at the very least, me personally, because I know, I remember reading an interview that he does all of his planning for the next game midway during development of the previous game. So I would not expect to see a lot of Final Fantasy characters in 4. Beyond Moogles, but I would expect to see references.
I wouldn't either. I think, again, though, I also think Yozora is sort of he is the Final Fantasy character.
Yeah. Him and his group is definitely, because they're, in my opinion, they're obviously taking the roles of Noctis's friends. You've got the one taking the role of Gladius, the one who looks
Magus and Agiel was their names in the
No,
demo.
Magia and Aegis.
That's also technically not even canon anymore because that scene was cut, likely because Nomura was actually, I'm going to make these into more major characters.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've got at the moment, and of course, there's always the chance that Luxord is going to take the role of oh god, what was it? Court. Yes, thank you. And then of course there's always the chance of Demyx, if he doesn't show up in Missing Link, he may take the role of Prompto, which is my theory, but we'll see how well that works. But I imagine that we'll see a lot more analogs to Final Fantasy characters rather than, yes, that is Lightning, that is Clive, that's his name. That's the name.
I still would love to see Clive appear, just because 16 is.
I agree.
Based, but
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see, and honestly, I would love to see other characters beyond Final Fantasy show up, just like how we had the World Ends With You version. You know, or even the reference to oh god, what was that super boss for the gummy ship? What was that?
Einhander. I was gonna say they did a Einhander with the Schwarzgeist.
Yeah, Schwarzgeist. Yeah. Like I would love to see more things. Because I mean,
yeah. Again, it's like I said. I think it's very much possible, and I think it could happen, but it shouldn't be expected.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's only 2 guarantees in a Kingdom Hearts game. You got your Kingdom Hearts characters, and you got your Disney worlds.
Well, going back to the theory that I posed with the HMK interview that we did, I still think Donald and Goofy are looking for Auron in the underworld. So,
Still possible.
Mhm.
Still possible.
It's
Can't deny it
yeah.
out. Yep. It's still very probable. I mean, until we get another trailer sometime in the next 4 years.
Remember,
we'll never know.
Nomura's saying, I'm, gonna have to figure out how to incorporate these Final Fantasy characters into the story more because I didn't realize fans cared that much. I think, with Donald and Goofy being back in the underworld looking for any answers as to where Sora might be. Auron, is somebody that they've helped in the past, whom, they might think, all right, well, if we've helped him, maybe he'll help us,
Maybe I'm like, no, fuck you, and then leave. But no, I just, I'm not wholly expecting anything for Kingdom Hearts 4 as far as Final Fantasy characters. I would like to see some, but I
would not
honestly, my dream pick would probably see what Tidus would grow up in. Since we haven't seen Tidus or Wakka since Kingdom Hearts 1, and Final Fantasy X was my first Final Fantasy game, so I've got some nostalgia for that. But
I will say I wouldn't be surprised if some characters show up in Quadratum like Lightning as just like background people who look kind of like how Cypher and his gang were just kind of people that lived in Twilight Town. Like I could see like Lightning is she's just somebody that lives in Quadratum. Like
I'm not saying they won't do it, and I do think there probably will be at least some Final Fantasy references because Nomura is now like more conscious of fan desire to see it. But I don't expect them to be like
too majorly involved either. Like I'm not expecting like KH2 level of integration.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because honestly, too, I don't expect us to see the Radiant Garden group because I'm not expecting Radiant Garden to show up in Kingdom Hearts 4. Like that's not on my bingo card.
I think we might see them in cutscenes because we know Riku was there and we know he just left for Quadratum from there, and so it's possible that like Mickey or Kyrie or somebody like if we have any cutscenes that's like, hey, let's cut back to the other universe and see what everybody else is up to.
Yeah, but I could see them mainly probably conversing with Ansem and Ienzo more so because in my mind, of course, I could be completely wrong, but Leon's gang is more on the. Honestly, they're the peacekeepers of the world, whereas Ansem and Ienzo are in the more higher ranking.
Ansem's like the leader of Radiant Garden. So.
Yeah. But they have Tifa, Leon, and Yuffie out there, like in case a Heartless shows up or Peach shows up, they're defending the actual world. So I can see them not. But then again, also, and this is just me speculating now, but we know Cloud and Sephiroth disappeared at the end of 2. There's a non-zero chance that they show up in 4.
Okay, 2 things. One, I'm pretty sure I remember Nomura saying that Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to focus a lot more on this new universe, and we probably won't be cutting back to characters from the previous universe in this game. I can't remember where he said that, but I believe he did.
Yeah, that sounds. I don't remember hearing it, but it sounds correct in my mind. Just also from a story perspective, like I can see them referring back a couple times. Like maybe after you cleared 2 worlds, maybe you get a cutscene of Donald and Goofy, trying to track something down. But we're definitely going to be in Unreality 9 times out of 10, where a few cutscenes here and there for the Kingdom Hearts verse.
But the other thing is, and this is maybe just my own speculation, but I can almost guarantee you, if somebody were to ask Nomura, hey, where did Sephiroth and Cloud go? Nomura would probably just say, Smash.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's always funny, but yeah, no, and honestly, like.
Well, and the reason why I say that too is because they literally, in Sora's reveal trailer,
They literally put Sora's rematch with Sephiroth in his reveal trailer for Smash, which I feel like was that was obviously a conscious decision that they put that in there, and I think that was like, all right, guys, here's that Sephiroth rematch you've been waiting for. Like, I'm almost positive that, like, even though Sora being in Smash isn't, like, really, I feel like them being in Smash would be like, if people were to ask Nomura, so where did Sephiroth and Cloud end up? He'd be like, well, they're in Smash.
Well, I can see, because, thinking about the most recent, Final Fantasy stuff, which is obviously 7 Rebirth and 16. I could see more references from the 2 of them showing up in Kingdom Hearts 4, especially because, the team has been working so closely on those projects. Same team, Nomura, same teams.
Yeah.
And the Final Fantasy 16 too. The Kingdom Hearts team literally helped develop Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. I guess
so, and that goes back to what you were saying earlier with, like, a lot of the Final Fantasy cameos appeared lining up with what the Final Fantasy stuff was going on at the time. If KH4 is, coming within the next year or so, I think it would make sense for Clive to show up, or even potentially Cloud again, or some kind of Final Fantasy VII character.
I feel like Clive, out of the 2 of them, is more likely, because we already know Cloud is, like, from, the old universe. And, I mean, while they could say, oh, they ended up how the fuck would they get there? Clive.
I have to.
Clive, I could see them being like, yeah, there's Final Fantasy characters in Unreality, it's just like there were in Reality, or whatever.
I have heard the idea tossed around that if they were to have Final Fantasy VII cameos, it could be like the rest of the Avalanche crew in Quadratum. Like, I've heard that idea tossed around, which would be pretty cool.
Since Quadratum is, at least in my mind, a more tech-savvy place, I could see Barrett with his gun arm being prevalent there.
Barrett in Barrett in Kingdom Hearts would just be, like, hilarious to me. I don't even know why. I just like try to imagine, like, that guy in a Kingdom Hearts game.
He would have some funny ass dialogue.
I mean, they'd have to neuter the shit out of him.
Still.
Also, now think about it too, is that a lot of times the worlds that Sora goes to, particularly with 3 and how they've started making, how they made the Disney worlds incorporate 3, really it parallels a lot of things with Sora. Like, with 3, it dealt a lot with death. Like, a lot of the worlds just were very much around death.
Death and love and sacrifice.
Yep. So you could also argue, granted, I haven't played 16, so I'm excluding this from my argument right here. But if Cloud and Sephiroth do somehow, through their anger and hate for each other, or sexual tension, depending on which side of the fence you fall on, if they show up on, look, the Final Fantasy TikTok team has a fence they end on that one. But if they show up in Quadratum, like, that would parallel, Cloud wanting to return back home would also still parallel the Swords. Because Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of parallels to that because that would be, unless they do the route with Sora forgets his memories, which I hope they don't. I don't like that particular trope, but that would be Sora's main goal for 4 is how do I get back home, and how do I help as many people along my way as I try to get back home.
It would be really funny.
Is if they implemented the whole like cycle of rebirth. Funny. That like Final Fantasy VII kind of has, like, how the whole like after the world ends, the life stream basically resets the planet. It would be kind of funny if they somehow implemented that like into Kingdom Hearts, and it's like Cloud and Sephiroth are like they get back and they're just like, wait, what? And, like everything's.
Well, I just had an idea. Like, what if in Quadratum, Aerith or Zack show up? Because if their fates are a little less than.
Yeah, but Aerith's still alive. Aerith's still alive.
We know that
Aerith's
Aerith's still alive.
said once before the release of KH3 that he didn't have any plans on killing Aerith. I mean, we know now that he didn't have plans for Aerith in general for Kingdom Hearts.
Well, Zack though.
Zack,
I'm just like, because like
he's kind of blank because we don't know what happens to Zack in Kingdom Hearts world after the events of the Colosseum. It could be dead.
Aqua never did get that date.
Well, like Aerith was in Remind, so Aerith was in Remind.
I forget about that, but I mean, unless they do something off screen. I'm just kidding.
but there is still quite a lot of characters because you have Angeal, Genesis could show up. There's
Genesis.
Well, because again, going back to Quadratum being the afterworld. If there are more characters that are canonically dead in Final Fantasy, they could also be canonically dead in Kingdom Hearts, and maybe you could potentially run into that.
Well, FF16 ending. What if Clive shows up for post events of 16?
Okay.
In Quadratum.
Now we're getting into some turf that I want to talk about. So it's my turn.
No, never mind. We're done with the podcast.
No, the podcast isn't over.
Get out of here,
Finn's not allowed to talk.
No. Okay, so my opinions on Final Fantasy are, especially for the new saga of Kingdom Hearts, are very strong. Like, we have a new opportunity for Final Fantasy to show up in a bigger amount than what was before. Because, we've had our Final Fantasy before, we just had a big talk about that, but, like, what if we had some actual Final Fantasy worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4, and that's how we meet, like, Final Fantasy characters? Like, I would love to see Final Fantasy 16 in KH4, like, you just, maybe exploring one area, like, Rosaria, with Clive and Jill.
That's like an actual world. I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
The big problem that I think comes with adding video game characters from another game into another game is fitting their worlds in, because some of these worlds are just so enormous. Like, have you played 15? It is so big.
15, yeah.
It is such a big world, and the only way you get around it quick is with a car. And
the thing I have with that is that I feel like that would make Kingdom Hearts a like just a mishmash. That's the only reason for it existing is it is a crossover. Whereas it's
the difference between Kingdom Hearts and Fortnite. Fortnite's a mishmash.
Yeah.
But
like Kingdom Hearts, obviously, people argue the same about the Disney, is that it's outgrown the Disney, but I feel like Disney is all way more part of its DNA, and just in general, the theming of everything is very much Disney.
Well, yeah.
Whereas Final Fantasy was just a little bit of supporting in the early days, and is cool to still have it in there, but it's not as much of a.
They do.
It has to be here.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy characters feel like they're more. tutorial characters, honestly. Not all the time. 2 being the biggest difference with all of Radiant Garden, but they do feel they are the first on the chopping block, right? Take Birth by Sleep, for example. I remember reading that they intended to have a young Leon show up, but he was cut for time.
It's the thing is like having a Final Fantasy world, I feel would be
Going too far.
less.
Like,
No, it's not
like
really what I'm trying to phrase it,
dilute the gameplay or the story or something like that.
Yeah, it would feel more just like a fan service thing than a.
Yeah.
It would
serving
take
a
away
purpose.
some of Kingdom Hearts' identity and make it just like
Well,
it's just another Final Fantasy spinoff.
Yeah, and like to put it to that, like if you put a Final Fantasy 15, 16 world, like just go play Final Fantasy 15 or 16 if you want to do that. With the Disney worlds, like you don't go play a Beauty and the Beast game to go to Beast Castle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very different vibe from what the purpose that Disney serves.
If anything,
that might be
I
the
would
reason they
rather
don't
have. Oh, go ahead, Finn.
And it's probably the reason why they didn't have like the worlds that these characters came from. But like, I think it would still be cool to see, even if it's not exactly like reasonable. And I do think that we should have more Final Fantasy content, whether it be worlds or characters or references, in this new era of Kingdom Hearts, because there's perfect opportunity for it in Unreality, because it's like whole new world we could add with what I think is being built up for Kingdom Hearts, like this darker, like more realistic kind of game instead of like being happy joy Disney. I think they could do something with that, because a lot of the Final Fantasy characters and games that we've played or experienced in one way or another have some form of like realistic features to it, like characters die or they disappear or they get built up, you know?
Yeah, and again, I think to boil down my point, it's the separation between fan service and actually serving a purpose.
Well, and that's kind of what I was saying too.
And
It's
I think cameos can actually serve a purpose, but worlds just feel more like fan service.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just the fan in me talking about when.
In my opinion, I think I would much rather have Sora show up in a Final Fantasy game. Like for example, as like a DLC Final Fantasy character you could play as or DLC Kingdom Hearts character you can play as in Final Fantasy Rebirth, right? You buy Sora, he comes in with his own moves, sound things, and everything. He's in the engine and all that. That's his integration where you can play as Sora in a Final Fantasy world.
And technically, they already did that with World of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, same thing. That's kind of where my brain is at with that, because the Disney worlds themselves, and I do think that the direction of Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be more of some of the newer properties, like newer, but the newerly acquired ones that are bigger. And I don't think that Nomura and the team are going to dedicate that much time to recreating a world, even if it is just moving assets over, than to create something that feels new. Fucking Agrabah aside, I imagine something. They would spend more times on something that feels new to us. Like Star Wars, like Marvel. Something new to the world that we get to really experience.
Well, I also think that just in the sense that they've already said that due to graphical fidelity and the size of games nowadays that they can't incorporate as many worlds, and so like games going forward will just have fewer worlds in them. I think
Which
there's
is
going to be
fine. Yeah.
well, but what I mean is I think there's going to be more of an incentive for new worlds, so we're not just because I mean, if there's more of a limit to the amount of worlds we're going to visit, then there's more value in each world, which means for every world that's just a revisit of one we've already been to, that's one less new world that they can have. So I think they're going to want to maximize the amount of new stuff in the game. And so we're probably going to get almost all new worlds. Like, I don't really think there's going to be a lot of revisiting.
The one world I can see us revisiting in like from Kingdom Hearts 4 to Kingdom Hearts 5 is going to be Quadrado. Like I am a complete agreement with you. Because also too, because they're spending so much more time on these worlds, and these worlds so much bigger than Kingdom Hearts 2 and 1. There's not going to be much of a reason for us to want to come back. They could still have that set up, but it's not going to be the case of we really wanted to be able to explore this part of the movie that we really didn't get to. From the first game. So the second game we get to go there, like Halloween Town and Christmas Town, right? But just going by how big the Kingdom Hearts 3 worlds were, I felt like Tangled completely, never have to go back there. We have explored every bit of Tangled. Tangled is a complete, there's nothing new to Tangled as far as us exploring. There's not a new area, Frozen, you can argue, all right, but because they with the second movie, but I do feel like there are, the worlds are complete. There's no stone left unturned. So and to that effect, if there's only 5 worlds that we get to go to, but they're massive, I don't think that these will, one of them will be a recreation of Final Fantasy 15, because it's just, that's not new content, that's rehashing and
Right, but also it's one less thing that Disney can shove in the game.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. It's one less thing that they can promote. It's one less thing that they can use. And it's one less thing that they can honestly do anything with. And to be fair, I think Nomura is also very petty, and I don't think he'll have 15 in his game. It's gonna be versus 13 or nothing. But
I don't think Nomura is that petty.
Nah. Well, yeah. But that being said, how hilarious would it be if Edward Elric shows up? Because Full Metal Alchemist is published by Square Enix.
Oh, I know.
Why do you think I put a reference to it in my little Wayfinder compass?
Oh yeah. Like I said, that would be fun. That's where I'm at. Like, I would like to see other franchises. Like, that would be hilarious just to see Ed walking down the street of Quadratum. But nah, that can't be. Or maybe.
I feel like that's a cool way to have if other Square Enix properties having cameos is just a cool way to make it serve a purpose, but also promote their other shit. That's how I found out about The World Ends With You.
Absolutely. Yep.
Never heard about The World Ends With You before I played Dream Drop Distance. And now I love The World Ends With You. It's great.
Great Keyblade too. Fantastic. It's called Noise. Mwah. But yeah, and like I said, I can definitely see them maybe, tossing in more references, but and as cool as the world would be, Finn, I don't think it's going to be the route that they take. I would still much rather get to play as Sora and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth beforehand. And, the chances of that are going to be whether or not Dolan mods it all in.
Okay.
You've been given an ultimatum.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I was muted. I don't. No.
Yeah, you haven't
Oh.
been saying a word this entire time, buddy.
Yeah, that's my bad. My bad.
You're good.
I gotta check something real quick. Hold on.
It's fine. All the jokes you said, they were hilarious. We were laughing our asses off.
Yeah.
I'm not like entirely against the idea of a Final Fantasy world, but like I just don't. It's not my preference. I think they could do better things.
That being
Or it
said,
could- or it-
that being
it
said,
could
they
be-
could make one, and it could be the best world in any Kingdom Hearts game ever.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it is absolutely possible, and I will sit there and be like, nope, Finn was right. I was
It
wrong.
Well,
it would be cool, like as a comparison, what the purpose that Radiant Garden serves in Kingdom Hearts that is where the Final Fantasy characters are from in Kingdom Hearts. They are from Radiant Garden, and it's an original world, and that's really cool. It's one of the best original worlds, I think, and that would make more sense than having like Valisthea or something like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it is just like fan service to want a Final Fantasy world of Kingdom Hearts, I mean, I am a fan, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea. Gameplay wise, yeah, I could see why that'd be a problem because it's the
Bro
same.
said,
map
I am-
for-
Bro said, "I am a fan. Please service me."
I mean, the way you put it like that is kind of sus, but yeah, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Man,
I'm sorry, like, I
with
can't
Kingdom
sit here and
Hearts-
argue against you on it by no means. It makes perfect sense. It's, I can't sit
Yeah.
here and, but at the same time, it's like, I would look. All right, I'm gonna be real, Finn. If it is between a Final Fantasy world or Treasure Planet, I'm
It's gonna
going
be
to
Treasure
march
Planet.
into. I'm going to march into Nomura's office and be like, "You put Treasure Planet in. I don't care what Final Fantasy horseshit you have playing. Just throw that to the wayside. That could be next game. I need my Treasure Planet now."
I still think if Clive appears, I honestly think, I mean, knowing the ending of 16, if you know what happens, you know what happens.
Yeah,
Clive showing up in Quadratum, which has been stated to be an afterworld, is not an impossibility.
And also too, like, let's not remove the purpose of super bosses either, because Sephiroth showed up in in one as a super boss that had no story.
icon boss fights.
bro, a freaking secret boss where it's like a two-phase secret boss where you fight Clive and then you fight Ifrit.
Oh my god!
Oh, that'd be so
Oh,
cool.
But-
scream.
But there's there is that possibility, because not every secret boss has to be like a hint to the next game, right? We could have both.
Yeah.
We could have a secret boss that is a hint to Kingdom Hearts 5.
That's what they did. That's what they did in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix.
Mhm.
They are, well, I mean, even before Final Mix, it was just Sephiroth,
I mean,
and
that's
then
what
they
they-
did Final Mix and
Yeah.
Lingering Will.
I mean, that's what they did in 3, considering the Dark Inferno. I mean, unless you really. Well, the Dark Inferno was a tease to remind.
Well,
Dark Inferno.
my
Well, I mean,
argument
it's-
for Dark Inferno,
talking
he
about
did
like a
not feel like a
third-party
super
leader.
boss. I beat him, and if I can beat him, he's not a super boss.
Well,
Oh my god.
he is
He's the
one.
quote
So
unquote. He's the quote unquote super boss. When really you could play it on any game mode and you would not have any problems with him.
Yeah. Sora,
He's
I
the
still have
easiest
issues.
No,
super boss in the entire series.
I will. No. I'm sorry, Julius was easy as hell when you do the freaking.
That is fair.
Oh yeah,
because
Julius is
the-
another
the-
example.
I will stand by that. Dark Inferno is around the same level of difficulty as Kingdom Hearts 2 Sephiroth.
I agree.
When you understand.
You broke up, buddy.
Oh, did I? Dark Inferno is around the same difficulty
He
as
died.
KH2 Sephiroth. What?
Okay.
Dark Inferno is
Yeah, there you go.
KH2.
You're living it now.
Sephiroth. Is that what I heard?
No, it's a KH1.
He is-
Nah.
in difficult. No, KH2 Sephiroth. They are the same level of difficulty when you
Maybe I
understand
need
the
to
fights.
try KH2 Sephiroth again. Maybe I'd do better.
HD Sephiroth is not that difficult once you actually understand the fight. It was very difficult when I was a child and didn't know how to play the game, but
Yeah,
At
no,
least it
Cage
I'm an
is.
Sephiroth-
adult that still know how to play the game. I don't know.
that's not to say he's easy. He's
But,
difficult,
like,
but
it's-
again, he's not as difficult as he was made out to be as a child.
And honestly, I mean,
I,
if anybody says, "Oh, the Dark Inferno was like, stupid easy," did you beat him on your first try, or did you die to him?
I beat him on my
I
first
think
try?
I got
I
him on
had
my
it-
second try. I
Yeah,
almost
second or
had the
third.
first try.
Yeah, second or third. Though I will say I did have Ultimate Weapon by then, so I think. Did I?
I think part of what you said is like when I played Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time, I was a child. Now I am an adult and I
Oh,
can
yeah.
pick up game mechanics much quicker.
I
But
usually
yeah,
find
yeah,
myself
yeah, but still,
tackling to death.
yeah, but regardless, the point still stands is that we could have a super boss that's not, you
Yeah.
know, teasing the next game. We could
Yeah, yeah.
have Clive show up, and it not be incredibly story. Super boss is an option as well for a Final Fantasy, like a full Final Fantasy representation beyond a Moogle or a reference.
I agree.
And I have a feeling that going forward in the numbered titles, I think DLCs will be a standard now,
Oh, yeah.
rather than doing
Oh, yeah,
final
yeah.
mixes. I think DLC, so they
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
exact same thing they did with 3, where they had a super boss, which whatever you think about Dark Inferno, and then in the DLC, that's when they do the new super boss that teases the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree that DLC is the new Final Mix. Which honestly, this might be a hot take on it. I prefer that because,
Same.
because
prefer it.
one for the long time
At
the
least-
Final Mixes they were regional.
They were Japanese
JP
exclusive for the
exclusive.
longest time.
Yeah, and now they're really it's available for everybody, and you're technically not having to buy the game twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's a hot take or not on that one. I enjoy it, and honestly, I didn't feel snubbed by Remind at all as far as as purchasing. Like I felt like it was
Oh yeah.
a beautiful experience. My brain still goes back to the Warriors of Light fighting against the replicas. Like that is still one of my favorite sequences.
I mean, I will say I do.
And also like the weeks of content of me trying to defeat all the data battles in Zora.
That's it. Yeah.
I will say I wish a lot of the cutscenes in Remind weren't literally just the same cutscenes from the base game, but
That's valid.
Yeah.
It's-
Well,
it's-
also,
it's-
it was their
it's
first
just-
one. It was their first DLC.
Yeah,
they
well,
made.
and it's also that's just how they chose to approach telling the story. Like, and it makes sense because of her how they made it play out. But I understand, like, it is just a rehash of a lot of it.
well, once I figured out what was going on, then obviously it made more sense. But at the beginning, I was kind of
no,
why are we
that's
just
the same thing.
why are we just going through all the stuff that we've already done? And then once you realize, oh, okay, yeah, we're literally like time traveling, and we're literally
Mhm.
going through these events again. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But then you kind of get to the point where it's like, okay, well, now that we know that we're doing all of this again, why are we literally watching the same scene again? We've now established we're in the past. We don't need to then have the same cutscenes play out exactly the same way.
And also too, I don't expect Square Enix to have the same style DLC each and every time. So I do think it was very much of them. They had an idea for a story. They were testing the waters. Oh, they really like the Final Fantasy characters. Let's put them in there. But here's super bosses and everything. And this is basically our answer to Final Mix. And I do think that they were really testing some waters with it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I also think too that we're gonna have to just understand that a lot of post-game content is probably going to be DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super bosses and all that, I would just say expect that to be majority DLC and not base game content.
Yeah. As upsetting as it is, it's just a world we live in now.
And anyway, and I think what's the word I'm getting? The longer we go into it, the more they're gonna be able to pack in the DLCs, and the more bang for your buck it's gonna be.
Yeah, and honestly, once again, my experience with Ruined Mind is like, I feel comfortable. The DLC matched, what I wanted. So it's, as of right now, I don't feel any, I feel like the DLC is in good hands at the moment. That may change with future games, but at the moment, I feel like, they can, if that means that we'll have more content, I'll take it.
Yeah. We are at just about an hour, by the way.
Timekeeper
Well,
dollar.
Yep.
So, well then, comments, watchers, viewers. What do you guys think about Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts? What's your opinions? Would you rather have a Final Fantasy world where, you get to run into Clive, a sword fighting with lightning, or would you rather Final Fantasy be integrated into the worlds as they are now? Would you, do you want to see any Final Fantasy? Do you want Edward Elric to talk with Sora in Kingdom Hearts 4? Let us know.
I want Sora to call Ed short.
Yes.
What's bad is I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be about the same size. Sora's a short little kid, man.
Doesn't matter. I still want him to call him short.
Wait, how
It's the
tall
joke.
is
It's the joke.
Edward Elric?
Isn't Edward older than Sora?
Depending on what you do.
Probably.
He's 5'3" by the end of the anime. How tall is Sora?
5'3", good
Sora's
He's
lord.
like
5'2".
5'4".
Sora is shorter.
Oh,
Is that like KH3
That's
Sora's
it.
5'2" or like
KH1 Sora's 5'2".
From what this is telling me, it is Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora. At
bro's a
5'2".
dwarf.
Interesting.
Holy crap.
That seems incorrect. So Kingdom
Probably.
Hearts 3 Sora is not.
I
that short.
was
All right,
much taller
people
than
in the
I was
chat,
today.
instead of doing anything else, go and do pixel measurements. I want game theories on my desk by Monday. People.
Or map
Matt, get to it.
We
Only
gotta
made
do it
one
quick. He's
single
retiring. We
theory.
got
Has
a time limit.
Has Matt Pat ever done a Kingdom Hearts theory?
He did.
He did one on
Disney.
the Frozen World.
On the Frozen World. Oh gosh, and it's a.
It's a doozy.
It is a doozy.
Anyway, let us know what you think about that game theory in the comments.
Apparently, Riku's
but yeah.
5'10". What the?
Let us know literally anything
wonder
other
that-
than like the topic that we're talking about.
Just comment.
Just comment. Just
Anything.
comment.
Put words down,
Push us in the
guys.
algorithm.
That meme with the tall lady and like I can't remember the Twitch dude's name, but he's like they photoshopped him to be short and he's just looking up at her. That's Sora and Riku right there.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
Latrix, that was so cute.
Clive for Smash. I don't know.
5%.
No.
I-
The new hashtag is Sora for Fortnite.
Right.
Sora for Fortnite.
Oh no. Sora for Fortnite, but the 4 is also the 4 used in Fortnite.
Sora for Night.
Oh my gosh.
All
Okay.
right.
Sora for
Bye, everybody.
Bye
We're
bye.
rambling.
Bye-bye.
And
care.
don't forget to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because Final Fantasy is based.
It'll probably be out by the time this episode comes
Well
out.
then, don't forget
It'll
to
have
play.
DLC. It'll have DLC when this episode is out.
Yeah, well, if it's out, then play it, and if it's not out, then play it when it comes out. But if it's out, and it probably will be,
It is not an
May
option.
your heart
We are
be your
supposed to go
guiding
play the
key.
game.
Good night, everybody.
bye.
Take care.
Dun da da dun! Hi there! It's your trusty Chirithy, here to remind you to like, comment, and share this podcast with all your friends. Please remember to subscribe to the Keyblade Forge, join the Discord server, and visit the merch store at www.keybladeforge.com. Don't forget, your friends are your power, so make sure to pass this along. Until next time, may your heart be your guiding key.